Now, on behalf of the Queens Village Republican Club, it is my honor to introduce Congressman Zeldin. Congressman Zeldin, thank you for being here. Nearly a decade ago, we honored a youthful veteran at the Lincoln Dinner who had just recently returned from his deployment in Iraq with an infantry battalion of fellow paratroopers in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. That veteran was Congressman Zeldin. From there, he went on to change his military uniform to a business suit in order to serve his country in political office instead of on the battlefield. He was elected to the state Senate and then to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he serves today. He is a rising star in the Republican Party. He is the future of our party. He will be a future governor. I bet you some money today. And he offers great hope and promise of things to come in New York and America. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Zeldin.
I also remember being here when we were honoring and hearing from a great retired Army Lieutenant Colonel who was then a member of Congress, my friend Alan West, who was, many of you were here for that. And as Alan was speaking and I was looking around at this great crowd, I realized how each and every person in that room, everyone, everything about what this club represents to the fabric of the core, to your heart and soul of your passions for this country, it was everything that was right about America and what we need in our party, in our country, to achieve everything that was ahead of us. Hearing from Alan was great, but feeling the passions from each and every one of you, in the way you responded to his words, I realized that this is a special club. And Phil, I want to say thank you for inviting me to be here, and JC, Joe. There's a lot of great people who have been friends for many years. And I also know that this group is unapologetic about all of that passion. You are unapologetically in support of our president. You unapologetically want to see him succeed. You support our military, our veterans, our freedoms, our flag, our Constitution. You don't apologize for nothing. There's a time right now in our country where, the first time in decades, we are, to the extent that we're seeing right now, on the world stage, a presence where we're certainly not apologizing for American greatness. President Reagan was given a speech where he was talking about Cuba and Castro. So Castro was talking to thousands of his fellow Cubans. And in the middle of his speech, someone in the crowd yells out, "Peanuts, popcorn, Cracker Jacks." It was a distraction, but President Reagan chose, Fidel Castro chose to continue with his speech. And again, this person yelled out from the crowd, "Peanuts, popcorn, Cracker Jacks." This time, Castro stops his remarks. He says, "If I find out who's saying that, I'm going to kick you so hard you're going to land in Miami." Castro continues his speech. And everyone in the crowd yells out, "Peanuts, popcorn, That was the President of the United States talking about American greatness. And we're coming off of 8 years of one of the worst presidents in the history of this country, and a period of this country Well, he wasn't cracking jokes and being proud about how great our nation was. He was sitting down at the negotiating table with Cuba and Iran and other nations, not just apologizing, but handing over what were decades of good favor, goodwill, of American greatness, over 8 years, surrendering it as if that was something he was elected with the power to do. But now we have a president who understands we should be treating our friends as our friends, as our adversaries as our adversaries, understanding that our adversaries do not respect weakness, they only respect strength. Understanding that we should never send our troops into harm's way unless they are sent with a clear strategy to win. You send our military to win or you don't send them at all. And this president, to his core, understands how important it is that when those veterans return home, like Lieutenant Friedman, that we treat them with the love, the dignity, and the respect that they deserve on behalf of a very grateful nation. And we're not going to apologize for the fact that we're proud of our president and that we stand with him. It was a great moment watching the president taking the oath of office in January of last year. For me, it was also a great moment after the event, going to the other side of the Capitol, taking video, seeing that helicopter taking off with the former president of the United States. How good does it feel that President Obama is gone, that Hillary Clinton didn't win, and Donald Trump is making America great again? How good does that feel? Another reminder of what this is all about is recognizing someone who just fell in combat a few days ago from your home county, from Long Island City, Captain Christopher Zanitas. Captain Zanitas was one of 7. We're on a helicopter on March 15th, just a few days back. Captain Zanitas is from a great unit from my district called the 106th Air Rescue. A lot of people don't know a lot about the 106th, but they really are our best of the best of the best. And Christopher Zanitas was. And your county and our entire country needs to come together to find that moment in your day to take pause and reflect not just on the sacrifice of decades past, but the sacrifices that are taking place right now. I had 2 constituents on that helicopter, and you all had Captain Zanitas from Long Island City. And I just felt like I would have been remiss if I didn't take a moment to say thank you to him and his family and to your county for raising a great American patriot. As we go forward with our country, I hope that we're getting close to that point where we're going to see the end of the Iran nuclear deal. A fatally flawed deal, not just for what's in it, but also a fatally flawed deal for what's not in it. And whether it was the cash that was provided in exchange as a ransom payment for our service members, or it was those 10 Navy sailors who were embarrassed, taken hostage, and our country, Secretary Kerry's response was thank you. Now they are building their bridge all across the Middle East. And in Syria, we face a threat with Iran that we hadn't faced before. And it was the policies that this president inherited. And we debate here, fix it or nix it. I had a meeting with Secretary Mattis a couple weeks ago at dinner, where I said, with all due respect, it's not really a decision for Congress to make, fix it or nix it. it's not really a decision for you to make. And believe it or not, it really isn't even a decision for President Trump to make. Now it piqued his curiosity. Well, whose decision is it? Fix it or nix it? It's Iran's. If Iran wants to keep a deal, President Trump is laying out exactly what they need to do to fix it. And if they're not willing to deal with everything that they need to deal with, well then, President Trump knows, against the advice of anyone who might think otherwise around him, that he needs to rip it up. There's a lot of challenges we face in Iran and North Korea, in Syria and elsewhere. But we're also seeing a strengthening of ties with countries that love us. President Trump not just fulfilling a promise that he made during the campaign, but a promise that other presidents fulfilled, that made during their campaign. It was President Trump fulfilling to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It's this president. Better leveraging our foreign aid, understanding that we should not be providing foreign aid to the Palestinian Authority while they're financially rewarding terror and inciting violence. Why should U.S. tax dollars go to pay for that? So it's not just about understanding their adversaries need to be treated as their adversaries, but also strengthening our relationship with our friends. No more treating Israel like Iran and Iran like Israel. We're getting everything right again on the international stage. Our national security is strong. Our economy is strong. The House Democrats want to make Nancy Pelosi the Speaker of the House again. They want to make Maxine Waters the chair of the Financial Services Committee. We can't let that happen. And what happens if, maybe it wasn't Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker? Well, who's next in line? Well, I don't know if maybe there's some friends of his in here, but you have a blowhard running the Democratic county here who is like next in line to be the Speaker of the House right behind him. And I'm not a big fan of Joe Crowley, and you have your work cut out for you here. But that's next in line behind Nancy Pelosi is that blowhard. But we have to remember that winners never remember, losers never forget. And the other side is really, really upset with what happened in 2016. And they're coming out this November. And we could say, well, maybe they won't come out, but that's a dangerous game plan for members of the House and the Senate, for people who are running for House and the Senate. You can't take anything for granted. But we also can't be apologetic for what we stand for, our principles, who we support. It's people who will be running away from the President of the United States, will end up coming up just short in their House races because their base is not energized, because they don't realize that the President is probably more popular in their district than they are, that they get elected hoping that you will do everything in your power to work with your colleagues, not against them, to move our country forward. You have your work cut out here in Queens. And I'll tell you, the good news is, in other places of our state, and you have Republican pockets, you elected Frank Padovan many times over. You have Republican pockets here in Queens, but I'll tell you, there are other parts of this country, this state. If you look at a map of 2014, the governor's race, you color every county red or blue based off who won the county. There's a whole lot of red on that map. As a matter of fact, you look at that map, and you'll wonder how people like Andrew Cuomo even got elected. There's these 4 small little but very, very blue dots, and you happen to live in one of them, right around the city. They're around you, but you know what? You're unapologetic, you don't care, you're here, you're conservative, you're proud, and you're not apologizing for the fact that you support your party, you support your country. It's not easy for you here in Queens, but you're not alone. Now for us, we need to focus not only in making sure that we keep the House and we ensure that in their agenda, the first order of business will be to impeach the president. Their second order of business is single-payer health care. We just have to block any prospects of that agenda and the type of people that they'll give the gavel to, and to give the president more of a Republican majority in the Senate to be able to work with. But we have to stop electing Democrats up to Albany. And we have to stop electing Democrats here in New York City. Now, speaking of blowhards, I mean, if you look at Andrew Cuomo, the guy is already running for president of the United States. We have one of the worst business climates, if not the worst, in the entire country. And we're battling with California. They're doing a lot wrong over there. And here, it's not just about bad tax policies and spending policies and missed priorities, but with Governor Cuomo at the helm, who is, I don't have a nice way of putting it, he's just a vindictive, nasty bully. And his support is a deck of cards, even in his own party. If we're serious, if we're united, if we're working together, if we have a strong ticket, we'll be successful not only with the national offices we face, but also statewide. But we're going to win the first congressional district in that race for governor and senator. All these statewide races, the Republicans going to win my district. The question is how well are they going to do in Middle Village? Yeah. The difference of winning or losing in November on these statewide offices, it's right here in Queens. It's these 4 little but very dark blue dots that is the difference between the future of our state and city going in the right direction, of our freedoms, of just how much we'll have to pay if we're even allowed to buy a big gulp. Or the person who reaches out to me wanting to know, why won't you ban automatic semi-weapons? What's an automatic semi-weapon? You know, where you pull your button down on a thingy, and then, you know, like an Uzi or a machine gun, and it goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. These are the people running our state. That was an elected official in my home district. That was an elected official in my home district who's asking me, and very upset. See, he was thinking about running against me because I refused to come out in favor of banning automatic semi-weapons. I just wanted to be here this evening. I don't get out of my district much unless when I'm going down to D.C. I have 2 11-year-olds at home, and I have a whole lot of constituents who want to see a representative as much as possible in their home district. But as soon as I got the phone call to come and to speak, aside from the fact, just to say thank you, because it's an honor that you even thought of inviting me. And I wish you had your own conservative Republican congressman from Queens to invite one of these upcoming years. And by the way, speaking of good news as far as winning elections, you know, last Congress I was the only Jewish Republican in Congress, but we have doubled our numbers. There are now 2 Jewish Republicans. And we're on a trajectory where by January of 2023, at that pace, we'll have a minion. So mark it down on your calendars. And I'm also pleased to report, because you didn't invite me in my first term, and one of the reasons why maybe is they give you one of these pins, and your seniority number goes on the back of your pin. There are 435 members of the House, as you all know. The number on the back of my pin last term was 434 out of 435. So now that I've shot up to 375, somehow I have shot up, way up the ranks. You were kind enough to invite me, but the first thing that came to mind was being here that day that Alan West was here, and that feeling that I got from that crowd, from all of you. Many of you were here. And I know it's not easy being active in this particular county, but you are anyway. And I also know that there's no way that we are going to take back our state and our city if not for the people around the tables who are here. And very briefly, right before I close, I'd be remiss if I didn't just touch on one other topic. I'll tell you, doing an interview on, I guess kind of conflicted if I'm making a CNN reference and a Newsmax reference. But I'll tell you, just before I came here, I did a CNN interview where I was battling back and forth with the host on some of the day's current events. Now, by the way, I was invited to go on CNN today because they wanted me to talk about the helicopter crash that had just gone on. And because they were based in my unit and I had some constituents, 4 were from Long Island, and by the way, you all are Long Islanders. There's no bridge between my hometown and yours, but I don't want to, now you all want to kick me out. They didn't ask me about the helicopter. That's how they got me there. Doing an interview on CNN is not as easy as being with Steve Malzberg on Newsmax, because Steve gets it, right? Steve Malzberg is great. A little conflicted, but Steve's here with his son, and mom's over at mom's over at CNN. That's what Steve said. There needs to be a second special counsel appointed. The second special counsel needs to look at FISA abuse that took place, how and why the Clinton probe ended, and how and why the Trump-Russia probe began. There is a criminal investigation that is going on that includes the president and his family for winning the election, even though there was zero evidence of any crime committed in order to win the election. At the highest levels of the FBI and DOJ, the misconduct that took place, the amount of the firings, the resignations, the demotions that have resulted due to that misconduct. These are great, legendary, historic agencies. And in order for them to continue their amazing mission going forward, there needs to be accountability and transparency. And the only way that is going to happen, because the IG can't do it alone, he doesn't have prosecutorial powers, is to appoint a second special counsel to hold everyone responsible for what took place. And I, as a member of Congress, will echo the sentiment that I have not seen any evidence whatsoever of any collusion between President Trump and his campaign and the Russians. None. I would have been remiss as I was listening to Roger's remarks if I didn't just share some of my thoughts. And I appreciate those who are my colleagues who have been joining us in this call. And on Tuesday, we'll be on the House floor. I'll be hosting a special order to raise more awareness for the need for Attorney General Sessions to make this appointment. Good move, though, reducing the pension of Andrew McCabe. I'm happy that was done. Not draining the swamp. So, thank you for inviting me to be with you. Thank you for the honor and privilege of being able to represent this great country, to be down in Washington fighting for what you're passionate about, fighting for the type of future that you want to see for this country, fighting for our Constitution, upholding everything that Lieutenant Friedman was willing to lay down his life on, all of the veterans who are here. Thank you for that privilege. Thank you for unapologetically supporting our president. And to steal a phrase, but knowing it's in your heart and it's on that banner. Thank you for unapologetically wanting to make America strong again, making America safe again, and making America great again.